Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have an awesome upload to share with you. I take a walk out where Tom Mezek disappeared. Also, I've got a couple of very terrifying experiences to share with you. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we?
All right, guys. So, it is Saturday, and normally I don't go hiking on Saturday because I've got to get ready for Saturday Nightmares live from New York. But I decided to come up to where Tom Mezek disappeared today because it is 67 degrees. Well, it was about 70 in Glens Falls, New York, where I live. It's about 65 up here, probably 40 miles north of Glens Falls. But just an absolute gorgeous day. Wind is blowing. No bugs. No bugs. Last time I was here, there was just a ton of bugs driving me nuts. So, the mic probably will pick up a lot of wind, so I apologize right away. Also, I want to explain something that this past week, you guys are going to see this on Sunday morning. So this past week, a lot of the videos have been pre-made, pre-recorded, and that was done for a reason. My dad came home after 7 months of being in the hospital and in a nursing home for rehabilitation. They actually had put him on palliative care at one point. He was cleared for release on June 5th, my mom's birthday, which coincidentally that happened. From palliative care to where he is at now, he still has a long way to go. He only weighs about 110 pounds. He's still bone, but he cognitively he's there. He's very optimistic and driven to get better. So I want to thank you for all of your prayers, and that's a big reason why this whole week has been pre-records, re-uploads, and such, because I had to get their house together for him to come home. I had to go up to the the veterans, whatever, and get a hospital bed, get that set up, just get a lot of stuff set up. So thank you for all of your prayers, guys. And now, with that being said, I just wanted to give you guys an explanation of why. Let's get into this hike. But really quick, 7 months ago when he did get sick, I will tell you that my my drive for this channel kind of went down, and now it's back. So we are going to kick ass the rest of the year and moving forward. So let's go. All right, guys, so we are on that notorious trail, the wash as I call it, where a lot of weird stuff have happened up here for me. I caught something on Lily Pond Trail running across the road, or the trail, and then I caught something over in these woods over on that side. Over here is where I caught that metallic sound. So this is a very strange place for me. I'm gonna flip the camera around so you guys can see the trail. The wind, the weather in the Adirondacks as of late has just been horrendous. The wind, the rain. We had a tough winter. So hang on one second. All right, so straight back that way is where I caught that metallic sound. Now I'm gonna kind of pan around. Now I'm standing at a level spot, so as you can see, it goes up. And the rangers have been here to clean out these trails. But I mean, this is just, I have not seen this much damage after a winter in a long time. So I do have a map. Last time I was up here, I talked a little bit about that map. The map where everything was the procedural search and rescue map is what I'm talking about. And so I have that at home, but that was weird. What the hell was that? That didn't sound of nature. So these are those boulders that I was sitting on when something from over this way blew through the trails. No idea what it was. And I want to say, no, I think it was up here a ways. Okay, so there's these two trees right here is where I set up my trail cam last year. And I had caught what I believe to be the tail end of a deer. But my trail cam is motion activated, and it activated quite a bit while it was up here. One day it had fog on it, like something had breathed on it, but I'm not gonna make any speculations. So I do believe that whatever happened to Tom isn't unexplained, and we may never know what happened to him. And I'm going to kind of get into that a little bit. So Tom was older. He's an older gentleman, but he taught survival skills. He was in the 82nd Airborne. He was sitting. Now, I'm going to show you. He was sitting that way. I am on the opposite side of Lily Pond Trail. I am in that 5 squared mile range of where they searched for him. But he was sitting, waiting for them, his family and friends who he had been hunting with for years, to push the deer into him and into the other older guys. Now, he's been doing this hike hunt for years. He is very well acclimated to these woods. For my troll who says I don't live in New York, I always do that every video, guys, just because. But acclimated to this area of the Adirondacks, and he knows the woods, he knows survival. He would know if you were to get lost to sit and wait. He had a rifle, he had a walkie, he had everything necessary to at least survive a night. Warm clothes, warm hat. Probably a fixed blade or a pocket knife. Once again, rifle, walkie, probably something to start a fire with, just in case. Even if not, like, November in the Adirondacks does get cold. But it doesn't drop to a hypothermic freezing temperature in November, especially the 15th of November. It is cold, don't get me wrong. We have had snow, but now, last time I was up here, I talked about a gentleman, and pardon me for forgetting his name, because I only talked about it once, who disappeared in the 30s in Loon Lake, which is some 40 miles west of where I am right now. And it's so weird with the wind. You hear the wind blowing through the leaves, but you can't tell if anything's trekking. But anyway, so he disappears. Why? How? No one knows. Look how beautiful that moss is on that rock. So beautiful up here. To be up here and not know the history of the Adirondacks, you would never, ever think. You know, you might think, oh, a kid got lost, Boy Scouts or whatever, but for the amount of strangeness up here. I mean, just a little, I think it's 5 miles northwest from right here, there was a underground bunker, military underground bunker found with beds designed for kids, which was going on. That was found in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. But they had found evidence of MK Ultra, which was a government ran program to turn people into super soldiers. Who would be the best candidate? Kids. So This is another rock that I've sat on. I've had some weird stuff happen right here. Actually, right up over in there, just after this bend right here, I caught some sort of humanoid out in that way, peeking behind a tree. But MK Ultra. Sorry, I'm just gonna be quiet for a second. Super soldier children. Imagine if these children were still alive up here, hiking. Would they be feral at that point? I mean, because that that bunker was abandoned. So I'm assuming they would be feral. The trail really thins out right in here. And you're just going into the mountain now. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's not really much of a trail. It's more of a wash. These leaves push down from the water. You can see the water erosion. The cut right there. Whew. But if those children were, yeah, I tripped. If those children were alive still, they'd be in their 60s, 70s. We don't know if there was girls, but they could have bred, and I'm not saying that like, sorry. I'm not saying that like they're not human, because obviously at one point they were, but if they bred, wouldn't they, and they had children, and those children grew up in these woods, they then would become feral. Plausible. Alright. So if we're kind of at the top of the summit right now, because well, you can go through there, but you can't. There's just a clearing right there. But just imagine these MK Ultra children, probably, maybe the government came up to exterminate them, whatnot, and you had a few soldiers that didn't want to do their duty, and damn, Look at that. That is a wash. Like when winter ends, this is just like a stream right here. But so to take them out, euthanize them, whatever you want to say. But there was some soldiers that didn't want to do that job. Couldn't do the job. And a few got away. Female, male, and they bred. And now you have capable super soldier children hunting these woods. Breeding. That in of itself is a scary thought, if you really think about it like that. I don't know if it's possible. Just a thought I had kicked around in the brain a little bit. But there is no explanation why Tom disappeared. You know, talked a little bit about this the other day, or last week, or whenever I was up here last. This channel, why the FBI was up there. Well, I interviewed countless people. I had law enforcement family members that were involved in the search and rescue back in 2015. And no one knows why the FBI was there. You can speculate why, but I've never gotten an answer. And I've asked, like, my family members, hey, off the record, which I would say, because I mean, I have journalistic, whatever, I do share information, news and stuff, so it is journalistic privilege, but I've never gotten an answer. And I live here, so I don't know. I myself think it was more or less to put a lid on whatever. Like, what if what I just said about that MK Ultra children was true? You know? Okay, so I did bring the Shofar up with us today, and Tim Coonbo Baker shared with me the value of possibly blowing a shofar. He learned it from a friend of his who worked with South Carolina Police Department, or South Carolina State Troopers, excuse me, as a valuable tool for Bigfoot and cryptid investigation. So supposedly you're supposed to blow it 3 times, like the Trinity, and it's either supposed to push away or bring in. I will talk about that right after. Alright, so during I don't know the exact, like, biblical, I know what I've been told, but supposedly it helped at the walls of Jericho, whatnot. But here's something interesting. Coonbo had used it, and it did summon Bigfoot, right? It brought Bigfoot in. And those of you who have heard the Coonbo interview know exactly what I'm talking about. But interestingly enough, I did this on Lily Pond Trail over that way. And I had caught vocalization of something going away from us. So could it drive them away, or could it summon them? Maybe it works both ways. Maybe I am not familiar enough with the tone and octaves and whatchamacallits to blow it in order to summon. Maybe I'm driving them away. I don't know. I know the day that I was sitting on the boulders and something smashed through, I did not blow the shofar. I actually didn't have it yet. So, but that day that I did blow it, there was something traveling away from me. At first, it was pretty close. Not like right on top of me, but it was close. Then, the day of the eclipse it was, then I could hear it getting further away. So, whatever it was, maybe I am just not proficient enough. I have looked into it. There's very little information. I think it's more or less something that I would have to talk to maybe a rabbi or whatnot, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to include this in with tomorrow's upload. I really wanted you guys to know that I do appreciate all of the prayer, and I apologize for not being on point as of late for the last week. Or for the 7 months my dad was in the hospital. It really messed me up. So he's home. He's got a lot of work to go, but I am back 100%. I was about 80%, but now I'm 100. And I am going to get answers with you guys. Not for you, but with you. So I'll stop recording up here and talk to you later.
All right, guys. So I do have a couple of ideas that I want to quickly go over. I've got some information on a multitude of different missing persons that have disappeared in the Adirondacks. But I also have this is the map that they handed out to people that were in the search parties. And this one was 6 days after Tom disappeared. This was on the 21st at 1900 hours. And these are what these maps look like. There's Brant Lake right there. The red line that goes right in the middle here is Lily Pond Road. And then this is the trails right here. The trail that I go, the wash, is right over in here. So I'm gonna sit down sometime this week and go over a few spots that I've gone to and see. I want to see where that rock formation is in reference to this map. I'd like to, where I caught whatever was crossing the trail, whatever blasted through the trees behind me, where that metallic noise occurred. That was in the location of Tom's last known, his last known spot, his last spot seen. So I want to get into that real deep. But also, like I said in the very beginning, for the last 7 months, I've been off my game. And now that my dad has returned home, I'm back. But let's jump into some encounters right now. Today's first encounter One evening back in high school, a couple of friends and myself drove out to a very rural spot to get stoned and hang out. There wasn't a lot to do in my small hometown of rural Indiana, so these country cruises, as we called them, to random locations was the normal highlight of our weekend. There were lots of these spots that we frequented, some more secluded than others. We decided to go to a spot known as the Green Valley. It was a public lake and fishing area, so it's technically closed at dark. Not that that mattered because there isn't a gate and cops randomly go down there. Plus, there's a lot of Jeep trails that lead back into the woods, so if you are in a four-wheel drive vehicle, which we were, it's fairly easy to find a spot to park and be hidden from the public eye. By the time we had arrived, it was nearly dark, so we pulled into the main area of the lake, drove around to the back side, and entered the woods via a Jeep trail. It had been raining for a few days before. The trails were muddy, even without rain, and had some deep ruts in some spots from past visitors who were there mudding. Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. We drove big trucks and Jeeps through mud pits in the attempt to get the vehicle as dirty as possible. Like I said, very small town. We didn't want to get stuck, so we stayed relatively close to the entrance of the trail. We drove back far enough to be hidden from view, killed the Jeep, and turned the radio on and proceeded to roll up a few joints. My two girlfriends and I smoked and talked and laughed about meaningless, random things. We were having a good time when suddenly something hit the hood of my Jeep, not loudly, but enough to make me look in the direction of the noise. I rolled the window down, but didn't hear or see anything, and my friends seemed to not notice. I continued our conversation when a few moments later another small ting sound came. This time it hit the windshield, and my friends noticed it as well. After they questioned what that noise was, I decided to be brave and investigate. I assumed it was most likely an acorn or walnut falling from the trees ahead. I turned on the headlights and opened the door and stepped out. After looking at my hood of the Jeep, I noticed a small gray rock lodged near the windshield wipers. I picked it up and showed them. We immediately recognized the rock. The front parking lot of the lake was made entirely of them. I quickly climbed back into the Jeep and rolled the windows up. Assuming someone was messing with us, we decided it was time to pack it up and head out. There are meth heads in this area, and we are not trying to get robbed or stabbed in the woods by one. I started the Jeep and turned the radio off. I know I'm not the only one who turns down the car radio when treacherous situations arrive, and began to carefully navigate down the short trail toward the back of the lake. All of a sudden, we are barraged with rocks much larger than the initial ones, all hitting the driver's side of my vehicle. I would have been pissed, but right then and there I yelled out, "WTF!" We heard a sound I will never forget. I will never do this sound justice, as it's almost impossible to explain. It was a loud roar. The only thing that's ever come remotely close to it for me was when I heard a male lion roar at the feline sanctuary I visited with my husband years later. It was full of bass and lasted roughly 7 to 10 seconds. It was fairly close. It was time to get the hell out of here, so I floored the Jeep. We had almost reached the trail entrance, and I was driving way too fast when suddenly something slammed into the side of the Jeep, hard enough to make me fishtail a bit, followed by that same sound we heard the first time, only higher pitched, almost like it had been injured. I slammed on the brakes, and the typical panicked conversation began between us. You know, the one, what the hell was that? Did we hit a deer? That wasn't a deer. Oh shit, let's go. I quickly continued down the trail, and it was finally in view, the lake. when my friend in the back seat started screaming, "Look, look!" My friend in the front seat and I looked out the driver's side window to see a man running through the woods toward the lake. I only say man because it most definitely was on two legs and had the shape of a person. Only this person was moving at an unusual speed through the deep mud and trees and thorn bushes, and their proportions seemed greatly off. Longer legs and arms with an average torso. We watched in silence as this creature reached the edge of the lake, bent over and began running on all fours, using its hands, and leapt into the water. This was early October, and while it wasn't freezing, the water was definitely ice cold. We got the hell out of there, drove 70 miles an hour on the back roads until we reached town. At the first gas station, we pulled over and jumped out of the Jeep. There was a small dent near the back end of the driver's side. I lied to my parents and said I had backed into a pole. We decided it was best not to tell anyone, as we didn't want to sound insane. But every time I looked at that dent, I thought about it. I went back to that area multiple times during high school and never saw a thing. But through the years, I heard others seeing peculiar things there, including one experience of a group of kids seeing a man shoot himself while sitting in the car, went to call the cops and came back and found nothing. Today's next experience. I saw something in the road that has changed me. I'd like to know if anyone else has experienced something similar. It was December of 2022. I'd been Christmas shopping with a friend of mine. I live in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. It took up most of the day, so we had quite the load. It was dark by now, so we figured not much else to do, but we might as well power through wrapping everything. By the time we finished, it was a bit after 1 a.m, and we were out of cigarettes, so we left my place to hit the gas station. I'd done all the driving during our shopping because my friend doesn't handle busy traffic very well, so she offered to drive. Bit of a night owl, so late night drives are not out of the ordinary, and the road I live on is a long one. It's not isolated or in a rural area, but there is wooded areas and train tracks close to my place. The neighborhood has quite a lot of apartment buildings and homes. The point is that I take a busy road daily, especially at night. So we leave the gas station and we are coming up to the intersection with the stop sign that we need to turn left to get to my house. I'm on the passenger side playing Pokemon Go when my friend says, "That person must be crazy to be jogging out." I look up to see that they are approaching the intersection and someone is jogging across it. I laughed in agreement, but I was in awe and blurted out, "Whoa, that dude is fast and really tall. Why is he running so weird?" I didn't think much about it, but as we got closer, I realized he was running hunched and leaning forward with his arms outstretched behind, like the way Naruto does. His arms were long past his knee with giant outstretched hands and long fingers. He was skinny, and I mean like sickly skinny. The closer we got, the more wrong everything looked and felt. His movements were so weird, like twitchy, but so fluid for the speed at which he was going. There were streetlights all along the intersection and roads, but it was so weird because it seemed unusually dark out. As we came to the stop sign under the streetlight, he had just crossed and came to the stop right before the edge of where the light reached, about 15 yards out of that. That was when I looked at the dash clock, and it all hit me at once. It was the middle of winter, at 1:30 in the morning, cold as hell out, and someone's jogging. I realized this guy was not a guy. This thing was standing with its back towards us, hunched forward, with its arms stretched behind, with those long, outstretched claws. It was the most intimidating stance I had ever seen. This thing was easily over 7 feet tall and completely black. Its head was shaped like a teardrop. At this point, we had been sitting at the stop sign staring at it for 10 seconds when it did the fastest 180 I had ever seen and was coming straight for us. I have never before had intense fear and panic that had crashed into me, pure terror. It felt so heavy, and my whole being was screaming, "Danger, you're in danger." I yelled, "Go, go, go." The car screeched as we took off, and my phone flew out of my hand. I looked behind us and sank deeper into the state of terror. This thing was not just keeping up, but it was now gaining on us. I yelled at the floor right behind us. At 60 miles an hour, we started to lose it. I scrambled for my phone to call 911. The car came to a stop, and I immediately turned to my friend. She was staring forward, wide-eyed. She kept saying, "I need to see it, I need to see it." I was so panicked, I instinctively turned towards her and said, "You're not crazy, I saw it. You're not crazy, I saw it too. I saw it, it was real. We need to go before it gets us." She snapped out of it and floored it. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911 and stopped. It was like I had finally able to get a grip on myself, almost like it was a result of the distance between us and that thing. My friend yelled, "What are you doing? Call the cops." My response was, "They'll never believe us." I used to listen to podcasts, and I remember hosts' words about how when people see things, sometimes he wishes they'd turn around and verify what they saw. So I told her, "Don't pull up to my place. It could still be behind us. Floor it till the end of the road. We're going to switch as fast as we can, and I'm going to drive and put my phone against the windshield to record. And you're going to use your phone and record. Then we can have more proof for the police to back up what we'd just seen." She was panicked and said no over and over, but she gunned it and drove just right past my home. We got to the end of the road and switched. I gunned it toward the direction this thing was at. Nothing. This all happened within minutes, and the speed it was going and that we were going, well, we should have met. We started to approach where we had first seen it, and I don't know how to explain it, but it started to feel that fear again. I realized when we lost it, it must have turned around and gone back in the other direction, further down the road, where we had first seen it. The speed limit is 25 miles an hour, and I slowed down to 15 when the fear started weighing down. Then I couldn't believe what happened. It was like a movie. A huge group of deer came running from the direction we were heading. They were literally running in the middle of the road and next to the car, bumping into each other. There had to be at least 10 of them, buck and doe. In the middle of the run toward the car, it was far less dangerous than what they were running from. I had never seen deer run that fast or so tightly together in that big of a number. I had come to a complete stop to wait for them to get by before I continued driving. My friend commented, "It must be in that direction. Something must have terrified those deer to run towards us like that. It's got to be that thing we saw." I was thinking the same thing and started to feel the fear again. I continued down the stretch of road. Nothing. We couldn't find it. I drove till 6 in the morning, too scared to go home without proof to give to the police officers to look at. I convinced myself that I'd be safe if I knew the police were driving around my area looking for it, scared that it may follow us home if it were still light out. Since that night, I can be in my living room playing a game and feel that same primal fear and panic wash over me. It wasn't every day, just a couple times a week. It must be close, and that's why I feel that fear. I've had it where I'm gaming, laughing with friends, and terror crashes into me like that thing is close by and watching. I know I'm not in constant state of paranoia, and that's why I feel the fear. I'll be good, enjoying my night with friends or something completely with this thing out of my mind, and boom, terror is starting to be more frequent and intense. I'm a smoker, so at night I smoke, and everything will feel fine. I feel safe. Other times I feel watched and unsafe. Like my body is screaming, "You're in danger." The thing I saw on the road that night was black. The thing I have seen after that is white, almost with glowing white eyes and sharp teeth exposed. But the same tall, thin body with teardrop-shaped head. I know this all sounds crazy. I hope someone else has had this experience. Alright guys, so Lake Geneva is in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, Bray Road area. The description of these two creatures, one black, one white. The whitish color one resembles like a crawler. But the blackish one, I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously you can, even in the dark, if something's dark colored and one is light colored, you're going to be able to tell a difference. Definitely two very terrifying experiences. I really hope that you guys enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you, as well as the hike up where Tom Mezek disappeared. Once again, here is that picture of that map, and I don't know if you guys can see the date on that, but that is 6 days after Tom disappeared. And these are the pocket maps that were given to the search and rescue people looking for him. I don't know, I'm just going to go through it and figure out, pinpoint things, and possibly see if I can get the map blown up to that quality, at least to that good of quality, and pin it up on the wall and go through some of my videos and use the exact spots and locations of where I've been, what I've seen, where other people have seen stuff and such. So with that, guys, thank you for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that keeps this channel growing and going. And honestly, what gives people a chance and a place for them to share their experiences, theories, and ideas. I truly appreciate it. Guys, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real, they are out there, and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless. And now I'm going to go yell at the neighbor because he will not stop doing his stupid carpentry outside. He's not building anything important. He builds like boxes out of scrap wood and puts them on his porch. Have a good one.